Hello, my name is Laurie Lawson Cox, and I grew up in Tallahassee. I went to Rudiger Elementary, Griffin Middle School, graduated from Leon High School, went to TCC, and then left and went to Auburn University, where after I graduated from Auburn, I ended up teaching in Augusta, Georgia for 3 years at a private Christian school before moving back home to Tallahassee. I moved back to Tallahassee and spent the next 33 years teaching at two of our elementary schools. I taught at Cape Sullivan for 12 years and then opened Roberts Elementary, had the privilege of opening a school, taught there for 21 years. My husband also was a teacher and then became an administrator and opened Childs High School and then became an assistant superintendent. Our son attended Roberts Elementary, Deer Lake, and Childs, graduated from Childs. And so I've grown up in this community, been part of our public schools, and love what we're doing in Leon County Schools. And it has been such an honor to get to serve on the school board for the last year and a half. So a couple of years ago, coming off of COVID, like many of us, it was one of the hardest things that our country and we've ever experienced. And I saw some things that were happening coming off of COVID and knew that I was getting close to finishing my teaching career and really felt I could make a difference with my voice being on the school board, having been in our schools, having been the PE coordinator for many years where I was planning in-services and trainings for our teachers. I was out in the schools working with our PE teachers, and so I had a relationship with a lot of people at different schools. And it's so interesting being at different schools and you get to see the impact that the administrator makes, and it really does set the tone and the culture for the school. So I ended up running for election for school board, never run for office before, never dreamed I would do that, and got elected in 2022. So here we are again 2 years later, and I have loved serving. I've loved being out in the schools. I represent District 4, but I also go to things that are at Leon and been to Ross several times and other schools that are not in my district. And I truly am an open book. So I'm not afraid to answer any questions. My life, I do meet with Scott occasionally. I love meeting with him and hearing from him, and I appreciate what our union has done. I was not a member of our teachers union for reasons that Scott and I have talked about, but I really do appreciate how you advocate for our teachers. Having been a teacher, one thing I will say just up front, we do not pay our teachers enough. And I wish that there was unlimited funds that we could pay our teachers what they're worth. But at the end of the day, I spent 36 years teaching. It honestly was the greatest profession. I'd still be doing it if I didn't feel like I was supposed to run for school board. So I love teachers. I love the teaching profession. It served our family very well. And it allowed me to do some things too. In the summer, I'm up here working at a camp, which I've been doing for 20 years. I'm working at a camp in the summers, and I've always had other little side jobs too. But anyway, let me get to your questions that you've asked. So what is my plan for teacher retention, teacher shortages? And y'all, it is a thing. I remember back in 2008 when we saw a downturn in the market and the economy, that many of our PE programs around the state were cut. We're seeing that now. Many universities are not putting out teacher ed. They don't have teacher ed programs, and this has become a real crisis for finding qualified teachers. So I'm thankful that our district, we did hire someone that works in recruitment and retention. She's been working so hard building partnerships with our colleges and universities around the state, and even some that are outside the state of Florida that are not too far away. I do believe we've got to start working with our high school students, getting them externships in our elementary and middle schools where they can see what a great profession teaching is. So exposing them to the teaching profession, even as high school seniors. Again, working with our colleges and universities and building those bridges and those partnerships is vital, is so crucial. So that's been a good thing, and that's something we must continue to work on. Another thing, y'all know that teaching, we don't get paid a lot, but the rewards are so great with our students that we teach. And it really, like I said earlier, it starts at the top, the culture of the principal, and making sure that we have administrators in place that are supportive of our teachers, whether it's behavior issues that students are dealing with, making sure the teachers feel supported. That is critical. It really is. Making sure that the teachers, feel that appreciation. And so making sure that we have top-notch, highly effective administrators at our schools that trickle down to making the teachers feel appreciated and supported is just huge. So we've got to continue to work on that. All right, when it comes to school choice, being a public school kid, I grew up in our public schools. I taught in our public schools for 33 years in Leon County. But things have changed, honestly. And at the end of the day, I do believe parents should be able to decide the best place for their kids, where their kids should be educated. Now, it's a whole nother thing when we're looking at our budgets and we see that we're losing dollars to private and charter schools. That's a whole nother issue, but that's where we are. And so we've got to figure out ways to make that work, because I do believe at the end of the day, parents need to be able to choose the best place for their kids to be educated. So I am a proponent for school choice. Another thing, curriculum. So that was one of the questions. Yes, we do have state standards and state mandates that we have to teach, but I am an absolute advocate for local control. I believe that the curriculum and the instruction should be decided at the local level, and we do that. We have a process in place where we get input from the public, but also from teachers, and a group of teachers will look over curriculums and get to choose which one, and then of course the board approves it. So I'm absolutely agree that those things should stay at the local level, and we need to have local control over those things. Teacher focus groups, and would I host absolutely. Anyone that knows me, like I said, my life is an open book. I will meet and talk to anyone. I love being out in the schools. That's been honestly one of the biggest highlights this last year and a half. I think I'm busier than I was even when I was teaching, because I'm out in the schools and love hearing from teachers and from parents and even from students. And so taking those ideas and input and truly using those thoughts and ideas to come up with some solutions. So absolutely, I would host teacher focus groups for sure. Just again, how much I've loved being in the schools has been huge for me. Will I work with the union? Absolutely. Like I said, I meet with Scott quite often. I love meeting with him when he and I get a chance to talk and chat. I love meeting. I'll meet with anyone. I've been at Shari's school quite a bit. I love being able to spend time in her classroom and then getting to know her too. But absolutely, I will work with our union and continue to advocate for our teachers. And yes, we need to continue to fight to pay them more. Absolutely. Our ESC, that's another area where I truly saw such a gap. I was fortunate to be at Roberts Elementary, and we had the most amazing ESC programs and support. And that, again, starts with the principal and making sure that our ESC teachers have the support in the classrooms that they need. And I've seen such a huge gap between the elementary and middle schools. And so we need to make sure that we're providing the support for those students all the way through, in kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, with smaller classrooms, support for our ESC teachers. So much is on their plate, as you all know, with all the, not just IEPs, but all the other paperwork and all the things that they deal with, some serious things. So we need to do everything we can to provide support for our ESC teachers and get them the support in the classrooms, and making sure that we're doing that in our middle schools as well. I'm looking at my notes of what I need to make sure I cover. For legislators, so I do have a great relationship with Allison Tant and Jason Schoaf and Gallup Franklin and Corey Simon, and I will continue to meet with them and work with them on things that I see in Leon County that I want to see happen. The school start times, that was another thing I had talked to them about. I don't believe the state should dictate when we start schools. I think that should be a local decision. And so that's one thing I'm continuing to talk to them about. Also, even with our school choice options, just making sure that we are not drying up our public school funding, and making sure that we have processes in place for that. And like I said, I'm all for school choice. Do I think some things need to be tweaked with that program? Absolutely. So hopefully we'll continue to have those conversations. Also with our career tech, I mean, that is huge. And one of my personal goals is to make sure that we have career tech options and exposure in all of our elementary, middle, and high schools, because we know that not every student is going to go on to college. So we need to make sure that we're offering them opportunities that they can get exposed to amazing career paths where they can do quite well, making a lot of money. So those are some of my personal goals as well. I will continue to work with our legislative body and believe that bridging those gaps and those relationships is vitally important. When it comes to financial literacy, I love that we do have that state mandate to teach that. I also agree. I think that we need to offer that for our staff, for our teachers, for parents. Those are important things to know, especially when we're living in these tough economic times. Let me think what else I need to go over. Making internet access available. So I've been to several county commission meetings, and we have to make sure that every community within Leon County, every neighborhood, every street, every road, that our students have access to internet. So I know the county commission is working on that with some partnerships, and we will continue to make sure, we need to make sure that continues to happen. I apologize, I can't be there in person. Thank you all for what you do. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.